days at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback Podcast time. We've got breaking news. The 49ers have signed a safety, George Odom, Alex, from the Indianapolis Colts. Are you excited about this signing? It appears to have a lot of special teams written all over it.
Special teams is 100% written all over it. And 3 years, right, was what we saw was the amount on the contract. 3 years, $10.95 million is what sources are telling Ian Rappaport. That's what he is stating. So not a starting safety necessarily, that the Niners have signed and brought in, but more special teams and more bargain basement, middle of the road guys. It looks like shoring up the special teams is priority numero uno for the San Francisco 49ers. While other teams are going out and getting weapons, the Niners are making sure 1/3 of the game and isn't going to cause problems this year.
It seems like they're making all the business type decisions. They're locking up the guys that they need to lock up. That aren't the big names right now. I don't know how much we can expect George Odom to compete in the safety room, but this does mean that the 49ers now have 4 safeties in that room. You got Talanoa Hufanga, who also is a special teams ace. You got Tarvarius Moore, who can play special teams. You've got, of course, the starter Jimmy Ward. So they just added to the room, but this has been a kind of concerted effort to make sure that this special teams is going to be a lot better. You've seen the moves that have come down. Every single one of them lately has had special teams implications. So 1/3 of the game is on John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan's mind. They believe that that's a way to go. They've not only improved coach, but also improved players as well.
Very true. Joel Andres just asked you, hello, TCC. What does this mean for Tart? I don't know if this means anything for Tart. I don't think this impacts Tart or affects Tart in any way. This isn't a starting piece. This isn't a sure up the room piece for the safety room, right? This is potentially a competitive piece, Ant.
Well, could it mean, though, I mean, this is a fair question. Could it mean then that Tart is gone and that they're planning on going with Tarvarius Moore or Talanoa Hufanga as the starting safety, and this guy is the depth behind him?
It could mean that. Right. It could mean that Tart is on the outs and that they feel Tarvarius Moore or Talanoa Hufanga is the option going forward. Maybe that's why you paid all the money for Tarvarius Ward, right? You paid the other guy in the secondary that you're going to pay a hefty amount of money to now, and you're going to looking to get younger at a certain spot. It could mean that. Personally, don't hope it does mean that, but it could very well be the case. So while I'm not necessarily feeling Joel that this is the end of Jaquiski Tartt or potentially the end of them adding another safety. The reality is the Niners may be looking at Tarvarius Moore. And we talked about this last year, right? That we thought Tarvarius Moore could have been the sleeper for that secondary coming in and was going to have a legitimate chance to push, especially if Tartt got hurt for the starting job and then he gets hurt. So is that this year now? Is that what's happening now?
First thing I got to say is Eric Dane. Luckily not the same Odom. Let's keep him away from the Kardashians.
The first thing the San Francisco 49ers did to address the safety room was sign George Odom, who was not on crack.
Luckily, it's Odom with a UM and not an OM. So
it might be Odum for all we know. I don't know how it's actually pronounced, Dan.
Yeah, but this is one of those things where you're kind of expecting the 49ers to make these types of deals that are going to fill out their roster. It could have implications on Jaquiski Tartt. It really can. But I think we also need to give the people what they want, Alex, and that is right here, George Odom's overall rating on Madden was a 71. So we're getting a 71 rating here, a 92 speed. So, if anyone was wondering what his speed is, 92.
That's game-breaking speed right there.
Acceleration at 92, 83 agility. But the thing that scares me the most, awareness, 69. Come on, George Odom. What's going on here? No, I'm just...
that's not good.
I thought that was funny that's one of the first things that popped up that people are looking at is that Odom's Madden score.
I get it. I get it. The first thing that should pop up, right, is that. Always should be that. Always, right? 100%. Let's look here. Through his career, Ant, he's got 10 starts. 7 of them came last season. It's a guy who's a pretty good tackler. He had 55 last year in the 7 starts that he's in. It's not necessarily a guy, though, who's really known for his prowess as a coverage guy. But if the speed's there, maybe D'Amico feels they can do something. I don't know. I think the thing they like the most is the missed tackle percentage. He had 6.8 last season. That's not bad.
Yeah. I mean, and people are asking questions right now about why not just sign Jaquiski Tartt for this kind of deal. 3 years, $10.5 million would be more than what Tartt got last year. So is this just another time where they're looking to go younger? It seems like the 49ers signings have consistently been players 27 years old or younger. Is this something that they're going to continue to do? Is this just the trend of what they're trying to do, is go younger while also improving special teams? Is this the going trend now? They're not going to go after, maybe that's why Charvarius Ward was so much more of an option than Stephon Gilmore, for instance, because Gilmore was 32 and Ward was 25.
Possibly that, right? Possibly. Look, at the end of the day, it's important for San Francisco, I think, to address youth, get younger in certain spots, while also for them to be able to shore up certain things. We've all known that there wasn't going to be a whole heck of a lot of big moves coming, right? There weren't big moves coming down the pipe for the Niners until you move off of Jimmy or until you start doing some major restructuring. No major restructuring or extensions happening. Jimmy Garoppolo still in San Francisco. So that means you're getting this. And here's the other thing too. You could sign Jaquiski Tartt to a 3-year, $10.95 million deal. Does Jaquiski Tartt want to sign a 3-year, $10.95 million deal is a whole other question.
Yeah, he might not. In fact, he probably does. He probably wants more than that.
I would imagine.
I think he believes that he played at a higher rate than that. I seen Nerman asking, I think Odom has the ability to start. I think Odom has a better ball skill coverage than Tartt. What do you guys think?
I don't see that. I haven't seen that.
Well, I know some of the clips that have got posted already are of him making plays in the secondary, showing the ball skills. So right away, people are equating that to he's got better ball skills or better coverage skills than
those are out of context.
Tartt. Yeah, I mean, always though, Alex, right? Always. I think this is what happens though when you turn straight to highlights because you don't know who a player is or you don't have an idea of what he can add to your roster. Everyone sees the special teams jump off. As Freak Stomp said, he's the second highest rated player, a 91 special teams player in the NFL that isn't a kicker. So he's one of those guys that's making big plays. We know that yesterday they added, Ray McLeod is a special teams guy. They've just been adding special teams guys over and over and over. And it seems like this is just a something they felt they needed to improve consistently for this team was adding depth to the special teams. And now the special teams is going to be a lot better. Coach Snyder's got himself, some really good football players. So right now the 49ers are working on depth. They're working on players that can help them in that area of the game. Where's the moves going to come to fill the other holes? And maybe they already have. Maybe Tarvarius Moore or Talanoa Hufanga is going to be slated to start at safety. Maybe that's the way the 49ers are going to go. I have questions then. Not so much about Moore because I think Moore is good in coverage. Not quite as good as Tartt, or he wasn't. He could always do that. But I do have questions about Talanoa Hufanga in coverage. I don't have questions with him stopping the run. So I don't know. I mean, is Odom going to be starting and that is going to, have an opportunity to start? I'm sure they give him a look. But does this really address the safety room overall as far as a starter standpoint? Are you comfortable with Tarvarius Ward or Talanoa Hufanga?
No.
Sorry, Tarvarius Moore.
Tarvarius Moore or Talanoa Hufanga? No, I'm not comfortable with either guy. I thought Talanoa was going to need a few years to develop, in all honesty, when we brought him in. And he definitely showed that he was much further ahead than I anticipated originally. But as the season progressed and we got more and more Talanoa Hufanga snaps, it became very apparent that this is a guy who's still trying to figure out the coverage aspect, how to play better out in space, how to play better in the zones, be able to stick with guys in man responsibilities and things of that nature. And they didn't really put him a whole lot in man coverages. They didn't. So Hufanga, while there is a lot of potential, he definitely needs more time. I don't know what you could have seen from this year. Was it the Devontae Adams shredding us on the last drive against Green Bay? Was it Adam Thielen making Talanoa Hufanga on a couple different route concepts and situations look lost in space? Hufanga's not there yet. That doesn't mean he's not going to get there. But again, this is supposed to be a team that has a chance to win a Super Bowl right now, right? The window's open. This signing doesn't sound like or seem like or even feel like a safety room is locked up. And we haven't seen Tarvarius Moore for an entire year. And so we don't actually know where he is and how he's going to be coming off the injury This just feels like depth. It feels like special team signing. It feels like signing a guy who's going to compete and push the room. But this doesn't feel like necessarily a home run or a lockdown, or we're not addressing the safety room. But then again, Ant, it feels like nothing that anyone has expected the Niners to do so far in free agency has come to fruition other than signing a cornerback. So who knows?
Yeah, and we're seeing WTM said Tart dropped a big INT. Why mention him? And I think Freak Stomp has the reason why you mentioned him. Odom is ranked 72nd for safeties on PFF, while Tart is ranked 11th. Tart has to be a part of the conversation when it comes to the 49ers. It could be as simple as, like you said, Alex, maybe Tart doesn't want to come in for a cheaper salary this time. He wants to kind of cash out, so the 49ers are filling the room, or the 49ers are filling the room with a very good, special teams option at the safety position, all the while knowing that they're going to move on from Tart because they're willing to go with Hufanga, or Tarvarius Moore, Moore. But we do have a, like what Freak Stomp said, or maybe it wasn't, it was Tyler Ledbetter that said, I'd make Hufanga a linebacker. And I think that is something people feel a lot. They see how he operates in the box and around the line of scrimmage and how he's able to help with the run. And they see the weaknesses when he gets, put in space or over the top. We don't know for sure if he can develop into that, coverage safety the 49ers would need, but maybe they believe between Tarvarius Moore and Talanoa Hufanga playing together, they can get the kind of production they need. But I would think that if they move on from Tart, we will miss him in the box, the way he's able to play, do everything, stop the run, be so good in the run fits, and then still be able to play the deep half, deep third if he's asked of it. So this is something that I think the 49ers are, I guess it's kind of fluid right now, Alex. Which way do you think they're going to go? Do you think this? So, I mean, you've kind of said this is a depth piece. Do you think they're going to, they're going to make any other moves at the safety position, or is this it? And they're just going to, keep this room as is?
I don't know. I don't think they're going to keep this move as is. I think people forget too that Tarvarius Moore's contract doesn't count on the cap this year. It's not a cap hit. He was injured all of last season, so they put him on that injury list. It doesn't count against the cap. So if he doesn't end up being the guy and you cut him and move off of him, it's not going to cost you anything either way, one way or the other. I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's the route they're going. But this just doesn't feel like a shirt up move. This doesn't feel like a safety room's done now move. This feels like there's other things at play here. Maybe it is a shift of Talanoa Hufanga towards a linebacker role. Maybe it's a shift in a different direction entirely. Maybe this is the 49ers trying to send a message to Whiskey Tart as well. Like, you think you're going to go out there and get big money. Well, hey, if you're going to go do that, we're going to go look at other people as well and sort of put the pressure on him a little bit. Who knows?
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, the one thing I do know is George Odom is going to be a big-time player for the special teams. He's one of those guys that's going to help, a lot. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this special teams unit's going to look. New coach, new feel. Maybe we're going to get some of the excitement that we got, back with the Tony Montana type group. Because, I mean, Flanagan Fowles is another really good player, and he's going to be coming back. Yeah, they've done a good job of making sure they're locking up players that can, impact the special teams. I've seen some concerns as well, though, speaking of special teams, about Ray McLeod being able to hold on to the football. I think that is something the Niners will have to, work on. Him having 4 fumbles last year is not optimal. But, I mean, we've got a definite concerted effort from the 49ers to make sure they're bringing in players that can not only help on the field, but help in special teams as well. Key depth players. So right now it's the more strategic moves from the 49ers. We're seeing that, in the same time period that you see other teams going all in, you see the 49ers kind of making, really smart, prudent decisions.
Niners making small, like little moves, right? Everyone else, and it's like chess with openings. Everyone else in the openings of free agency is moving out. They're moving out rooks, right? They're moving out knights. Right? They're taking big steps with pawns and then moving out their big pieces and putting themselves into attack position. It feels like the Niners are just like sequentially moving their pawns down the chessboard in a very nice, orderly fashion. Everyone's like, when are we going to do anything that looks like we're going to be aggressive and start attacking folks? We're just not doing it right now. And this is what it kind of looks like at the moment. The Niners are not trying to swing big at free agency at the start. Maybe they'll try and swing big at free agency here towards the end, like when some of the bigger names, they start to dwindle. But there's still a handful of big names out there. We still got Stephon Gilmore, who hasn't signed a contract. You still have, guys like Collins that are out there in space. You have still Zadarius Smith on the market. Justin Houston still available on the market. Dante Fowler still on the market. Will Fuller still on the market. Marquez Valdez-Scantling still on the market. There's still tons of bigger splash type names for the Niners to go get and go after. And maybe that's part of the reason why. Maybe some of the guys that they're targeting are still out there and available, and it doesn't sound like they're getting close to contracts. And maybe they've been reaching out and talking to them and know that. So they're not in a rush at the moment to do any of this. They're just kind of waiting till things start to dwindle.
Yeah, and let's go through some of these comments. 420 Savage says, Odom highlights versus Dallas. Looked like Jimmy Ward to me. Nice diving interception. So he's liking his ball skills. Clownman says, who is this guy? I'll look him up. Clownman, you'll see that he's got a lot of ability, especially on special teams. Robert Hamlin says, is the window open with an unknown at quarterback?
Yeah.
So maybe the window's not as open as you think, according to Robert. Renee Morales says, how does Tart want to get paid if he can't stay on the field? That's been one of the big bugaboos that we've had with Jaquiski Tart, oft injured, including last year. He was injured some, missed a couple games, but played through injury. So maybe the 49ers are wanting to move away from that. 420 Savage, being the savage that he is, Tart can't catch like Shaq at the free throw line.
Tart can't catch. Shaq can't shoot free throws. Look, I don't want to. Here's the thing, right? I think we can all agree that Jaquiski Tart has dropped less interceptions than Shaquille O'Neal has missed free throws. I think we can all agree with that. So I'm not willing to throw that much slander at him at this point in time. What I can say is that what I know about George Odom is that there's not a big track record of him playing extremely well consistently in the NFL in coverage. There's a track record of him being a surefire tackler. There is that. He's a guy who comes up in space and make tackles. Does that mean that the film shows that he's in the right spots and he's tackling underneath? Possibly. Does that show him playing in the box? Possibly. I haven't watched enough film on George Odom. This wasn't a name that, we looked at seriously and considered Ant because we thought the Niners were going to try and go out and sign a safety to shore up the room in terms of a starting potential caliber player the minute he walks in the building in San Francisco, and not so much what we have right now, which is a guy who's definitely going to contribute in the special teams, but by no means is going to be a guy who is the bona fide starter walking in day one.
Yeah, and just the NFC West news, the Seattle Seahawks are releasing edge rusher and defensive end Carlos Dunlap. So Seattle Seahawks have decided to move on from Dunlap, so that just came down a few minutes ago. So maybe they're about to go all in on one of these edge rushers and they needed to free up some cap space, or they're going all in on getting the quarterback. Rumors were that they were in on Matt Ryan, so maybe Matt Ryan, possibly maybe we got to keep watching Seattle. Maybe they're trying to free up cap space to go get their quarterback. But with Odom, I don't know. Maybe he's one of those guys that is going to develop into a starting safety in this league, and maybe they've made a move where they feel like this guy can come in and compete with Hufanga and Tarvarius Moore. I think it's going to be kind of fun. Let's see some of these comments. Let's see.
I saw one from Bobo. Bobo said, said at Cutback Crew, what do you think of trading one of the linebackers not named Fred Warner for good picks, then signing Bobby Wagner? That is an interesting question. Which guy is the reality? Like, which guy are you signing? It seems like Azeez wants to run it back one more year and then try and cash out. Would you really sign Azeez to that contract and then have him take that tender and then deal him? Why wouldn't you just let someone else sign him and let him walk? You're not going to get a second. That's the big reason. So that would probably leave Dre Greenlaw, the guy on the chopping block there, Ant. You could do that, but then you're potentially risking losing Azeez Al-Shaair the next year in free agency anyway.
I mean, yeah, they could trade one of these linebackers if they really wanted to. The question is, do you want to, go for a high-priced player in Bobby Wagner that you're going to give, more money than you would give Greenlaw and Azeez Al-Shaair? Azeez Al-Shaair and Greenlaw, playing together seems to be like the best situation for this season. I think that at one point you can only lock one of them up, so you will move on from one of them. But if both of them were to leave in the offseason, for instance, you would get 2 compensatory picks. So it might, I don't know what you could get in trade value. So we'll see. I think if one of them was going to be moved, it would be on draft night. That would make the most sense to me. But I don't think either one of them are going to get moved. I don't think they're going to go the route of Bobby Wagner. I'd be surprised. The trend seems to be keep younger players who have, upside that they can develop, that stay healthy instead of going for older players that could possibly get injured. But I think they've made a decision. Once they tendered Azeez Al-Shaair, I think they made a decision that they were going to roll with those 2 guys and let Bobby Wagner go somewhere else, and we don't know where he's going to land.
Very true. And Portola said key stat on Odom, never missed a game. He also said Seattle rebuilding with a 70-year-old coach, ? You're right. It's an odd situation, but it seems like that's going to be the case. I saw John and Jerry Young said, here's a question. What about going after an elite pass rusher and using D Ford as the backup? D Ford is already the backup. He's a situational guy. But in regards to, going after an elite pass rusher, this is something Ant and I have been talking about. And did you see the news, by the way, about David Njoku going down at his pro day?
Unfortunately, yeah, because he's my favorite edge rusher in the entire draft.
Oh, absolutely horrible, man. I hate to see that. Portola 45, by the way. Welcome to the TCC, my guy.
Welcome.
But I think the Niners should do that. The question is, will they? Can they? How much are they going to pay for it? Will it happen? Possibly. I think that the reality is the Niners would love to grab an elite guy to match with Nick Bosa, right? And to assure yourself against a guy like D Ford not being available and be able to bump Samson and come onto the interior, or, get Samson to come off the field in certain situations, have D Ford out there with a package where you put one of these elite guys on the interior or vice versa and see what happens. I think they would love to do that. I just don't know when that's going to happen or if it will.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know either. I think that I was kind of looking at two areas that the 49ers were going to attack in free agency. There was going to be edge rusher and corner, and they addressed the corner position. They haven't addressed edge rusher, and not even as much as bringing back Jordan Willis and Arden Key. So there is a definite area of weakness there that they need to fix with the depth. Of course, they can always handle that in the draft, but that's a little bit more of a crapshoot. I would think they handle it both ways, and I think you do want to grab an edge rusher in this draft, but you probably want to grab a free agent that makes sense. The one thing we'll talk about with this guy that we just signed is, I think that what's nice about Odom is that he does play every play. He is available to play in games, and I think that's what they're trying to do right now is bring in players that they can consistently count on. That's something that's big. Just like Daniel Brunskill plays all the time. I know he's not the people's favorite guy, but that was one of the things Daniel Brunskill had going for him as well. So this could be as simple as maybe it's time to move on from Jaquiski Tartt because he gets injured all the time, and we can't afford that to happen anymore. We already have, Tavarius Moore, who suffered the Achilles injury last year. We don't want any other injuries, in this secondary and in the safety position. So improve the special teams, add a player that's always available. It could be that. My question is Hufanga or Tavarius Moore ready to start? I do have questions about that. I think before last year, I would say Moore was ready to start. Now, I question whether that's the case because, he's coming off the ACL. Achilles. I don't know how fast he's going to be. I don't know how his change of direction is going to be. And I already had questions about him in coverage because Tartt's ratings were better than him in coverage in 2020.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, man. Coming off an Achilles is no joke. It usually takes 2 years to fully get back to the player and the version of yourself that you were, especially when you're young enough. Tavarius Moore is definitely young enough, but we're talking about this being the first year back from the Achilles injury. I have no faith that he is going to be the home run or the version of himself that was pre-Achilles injury. That's just not how that typically works. I know that you had the running back for the Rams, and I'm blanking on the name right now, and I shouldn't be, who came back from the Achilles fairly quickly. But Cam Akers, there we go, Ann. Thank you. But Cam Akers didn't look like a world beater when he came back and returned. I think they're hoping for Cam to be a better version of himself going forward. Sherman was the same way when he first came in off the Achilles. He wasn't the best version of himself that first year in San Francisco, but he did turn back into the best version of himself in 2019 when he needed it most. That's a risk. If you're going to roll and take that option, and it's definitely a risk. I saw Travis Cooper had mentioned too that, hey guys, loved the show yesterday. We appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for being here consistently and coming on back. And, I know Bobo had mentioned too to the Cutback crew, had added everyone, hit that notification bell. If you're enjoying the shows, you're enjoying the content, you're enjoying the free agency coverage, the easiest way to know about it is to hit that notification bell after you subscribe. That way, when we go live. So at the end of the day though, Ed, it's an interesting thing. It's an interesting signing. I don't think by any means, I know a Cutback crew member had asked, does this lock us up as Super Bowl contenders? Obviously joking about this. No, it doesn't. But you know what it does do? It does make sure that 1/3 of the game isn't going to be your Achilles heel going into next year, right? 1/3 of the game isn't going to cost it for you like it did the Green Bay Packers in the playoffs. 1/3 of your game now has enough pieces and enough weapons and enough special team studs and aces out there that should be able to, if not go out and make an impact every game, at least put your team in a better position to win football games.
Yeah, and Odom, I mean, I know someone had asked earlier if Odom was a all-pro special teams player. Yes, he was. Odom is that elite at special teams. So the 49ers are getting one of the best to do it. This is one of those things we saw that, Harbaugh and them did when they had their great special teams units, was they would also go get, big-time special teams players and bring them in and let them compete. So sometimes it works. So I think that this is one of those moves where the Niners are bringing in guys that they know can help on special teams, but I think they're hoping to get something back from them as well, on the field. We've seen it again. Brave187 said, great, Odom has a total of 2 INTs, LOL. Geez, we need a ball hawk at safety. Yeah, I mean, he only has 2, but that's because he hasn't been playing that much. So, we got a brand new member. Welcome, Travis Cooper, to the Cutback crew. Thank you for that. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, this is one of those moves that it's, once again, and I know Nick Newman went on Twitter and said, they signed him and Oren. Like, who are these guys? I don't even know who these guys are.
They've had one good year, Ant. One good year.
Well, this guy's had a few good years on special teams, so he's a big time addition to the 49ers special teams, and this is what you need. And now where do the 49ers go next, Alex? What's the next move for San Francisco?
My God, Ant. Oh my God. Breaking. Is this accurate? Is this really Adam Schefter? I want to make sure I'm not getting trolled or sacked right now.
It is, yeah.
Adam Schefter, Deshaun Watson has decided he wants to play for the Cleveland Browns in a stunning change of events per sources. Watson has informed the Houston Texans that he is now willing to waive his no-trade clause in a contract to be dealt to Cleveland. Baker Mayfield will be out. The Cleveland Browns, Ant, may have finally found a franchise quarterback.
Wow.
Holy cow.
Yeah,
Holy cow.
It looks like the 49ers, situations have changed. Deshaun Watson apparently has finally made his decision. He's going to be going to the Browns, which means Baker Mayfield's going to be on the move. Jimmy Garoppolo, you would think maybe is going to be on the move pretty quick.
It's coming quick. It's going to happen.
You would think so, but we'll see because now Baker Mayfield is on the line. Oh, wow. So, yeah, that's breaking news. Deshaun Watson has decided he's going to play for the Cleveland Browns.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know why you would want to go to Cleveland, but, I mean, maybe Amari Cooper got in his ear. I thought all signs were pointing towards Atlanta and New Orleans. New Orleans will probably turn to Jameis Winston. So what does that mean now for the 49ers trade situation with Jimmy Garoppolo?
The Jimmy Garoppolo trade is now imminent. As soon as this is confirmed, right? I know multiple people are saying it. You have Rappaport saying it, Schefter saying it, Palacero saying it. They're all tweeting it out there per sources. As soon as it becomes not necessarily like official, like the trade actually happens, but the teams come out and have stated, this is happening. We're doing this. The Jimmy Garoppolo trade, I would imagine, has to be going down now within 48 hours? You would think.
I don't know. We'll see. David M says, hello, guys. First-time viewer, Niners fan in from Ohio. So what in the world are they going to do to fix the giant holes I see at guards? And why wouldn't they go after Gilmore over Ward? The Gilmore over Ward thing, I think, is starting to become a little more clear as the 49ers are signing everyone that's 27 years old or younger. So
True.
It's possible that they just valued the young Ward and his development over a Stephon Gilmore. Plus, we don't know exactly what Gilmore was asking for. That's that reason. And as far as guards go, I think they're expecting Aaron Banks to step into one of those holes. So I think they feel like they addressed it last year. So that's one of the ways to go. But all the while, I don't know. And Twisted Clown says, are the Texans taking Baker? I don't think so.
That's going to be the $1,000 question. I don't think so either, which means the Cleveland Browns are going to have to find a landing spot for him. So now the question becomes, are the Niners going to have to wait for Baker to get dealt, or is Jimmy going to be the priority?
Well, the thing is Atlanta's deal too. I don't know if you heard this or not. It apparently included AJ Terrell. So they were gonna give a big time starting, defensive player. Who is going to be the big time starting defensive player coming from Cleveland, to the Houston Texans?
Oh, dude, I don't know. Oh my God,
could it be Miles?
Oh my God, is it Miles?
I don't know.
Oh my God, dude, what if it's Miles?
Or could the Texans end up getting Nick Chubb?
Or maybe it's Kareem Hunt.
It could be.
It could be Hunt. I could see them doing Hunt, 2 first-round picks. Actually, it's going to be 3 first-round picks, right? It's going to be 3 first-round picks.
Yeah.
Hunt, and maybe one other guy.
Yeah, and Travis Cooper saying, "So glad this is over. Let's move Jimmy." I think people are hoping the ball is going to be rolling now on the Jimmy Garoppolo trade. Now that Deshaun Watson apparently, decided that he's going to go back, or he's going to go to Cleveland. I didn't see that coming after he had notified them already.
No,
they were trying to work. Their owner, Jimmy Haslam, was going to fly into Texas to meet Baker Mayfield and try to smooth it out. And Baker's like, no. Well, it looks like Baker Mayfield's going to get his wish. He's going to be on another team here pretty soon. But hopefully this also means that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to get moved here pretty quick so we can move on and see how the 49ers handle the rest of free agency.
Yeah, this is huge. This is absolutely gigantic. This is enormous. I did see a couple of the Cutback crew members also bringing up and mentioning the fact that
I gotta tell you what Rap Sheet said.
Okay, let's see.
Not only is Deshaun Watson being traded to Cleveland, he's getting a brand new 5-year deal worth $230 million.
What in the absolute frickety frick, Ant? Holy cow. Huge. Yep. Huge. And now the question is what in the world are you doing with Baker Mayfield? I mean, that's the reality of the situation. Also, apparently, Johnny Hecker has agreed to terms with the Panthers, and so they didn't land Deshaun Watson, but boy, oh boy, did they get themselves a punter.
Yeah, and the money, Browns are giving Deshaun Watson the new deal, $184 million over the first 4 years of his contract, $48 million raise over the $136 million he was scheduled to make over the same 4 years of the previous contract, a $12 million raise per span, and apparently that was part of the reason that Carolina went out of the deal yesterday and why he was eliminated. They would not guarantee years 3 and 4 of his deal, so he told them, he's going to have to move on.
Wow, that is crazy. The AFC is 100% stacked with quarterbacks. Rich, that has not changed after this.
Hey, and that's another thing to take into account. He didn't come to the NFC
That's
again.
Huge, man. That's huge.
Another great quarterback to the AFC. We don't have to worry about.
Nope.
In the NFC is wide open. If ever there was a signal for the 49ers to go all in, it's this.
This is the signal.
You got Tom Brady, you've got Matthew Stafford, and the Los Angeles Rams.
That's it.
I'm not really worried about Aaron Rodgers unless they pull off a trade for a wide receiver, which
true.
I heard some things, but
let's hope not those things. Let's hope those things are not true.
Let's hope those things aren't true. So yeah, this is it's starting to open up for the 49ers in the NFC. It's opened up, man.
It's wide open. It's wide open. I saw some Cutback crew members also talking about, will Jimmy get traded before Baker? I think Google counted said, Baker, do you guys think Baker could go first because Jimmy might be more expensive? It's possible. It's possible that teams look at Baker Mayfield and everything that's now happened in Cleveland, how he handled the situation, are just like, you know what? Yeah, you got some talent, but you might not be the leader we're looking for. And therefore, on top of the injuries that he just dealt with, the fact that he hasn't really led that team other than one playoff run, may not be wanting to pay or be willing to pay. But at this point, you're starting to run out of options, and you still have the same amount of teams who need quarterbacks, right? That's the thing.
We're also got, Tom Pelissaro just said the Titans are signing tight end Austin Hooper. So a possible 49ers target of Austin Hooper. He's off the market as well, getting a 1-year deal worth $6 million.
Interesting, Ant. Very interesting. Good sign by the Titans, though. They needed to upgrade the tight end room. So good for them. Fursker was not going to be the one getting it done for him. So this is interesting. This is very, very, very intriguing. The Seahawks also apparently are now inquiring about both Baker Mayfield and Matt Ryan. So both of those guys could end up in Seattle. How do you feel about that? Cutback crew and Ant, how do you feel about that? Baker or Matt Ryan ending up in Seattle?
I've heard that Matt Ryan's location that he would like to end up is in Indianapolis, but you would think with them missing out now, they'll just go ahead and give him his roster bonus and continue with Matt Ryan for this season. I think that's going to be solved there. I don't think he's going to move. So I think the Colts are still in play. Carolina's still in play. The question is, does New Orleans go Jameis Winston? If they go Jameis Winston, then they're out of the running, which means you're in the same standstill, in the same holding pattern you were, with Chris Ballard and the Indianapolis Colts, where you're just looking across at them like, all right, we know you want Jimmy. We want to give you Jimmy, but they got to work out a contract. Work out a deal. And so far they haven't been able to do it. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what this means for Jimmy Garoppolo, other than it seems like once again the Indianapolis Colts are the landing spot, unless the Indianapolis Colts go and get Baker Mayfield. If they feel Baker Mayfield's a better option than Jimmy Garoppolo, or they can get him on a cheaper deal, that would definitely put a huge wrinkle in the 49ers' plans to trade Jimmy Garoppolo.
It definitely does. Do you think this now solidifies Jameis Winston going back to the Saints?
I don't think it 100% does. He's coming off an ACL. But, I mean, the 49ers probably should do it really quick and make something happen real quick, because they need to do something before the New Orleans Saints make a move, because then they're going to lose even more leverage. This might be the window to kind of jump in there and get Jimmy going.
I agree with you there. I think it is too. WTM, can we get Cox? I would love to get Fletcher Cox. I would, but it looks like per sources yesterday that he's nearing a deal with the Eagles to go back to Philadelphia. So it looks like the cut was more to clear cap space so they could try and re-sign him to a more team-friendly deal than anything else. So we'll see. The fact, though, that got reported pretty early yesterday and it hasn't happened means that he's definitely fielding calls and teams are definitely looking at him. But the Niners, if you want to go after guys like that, you want to sign Fletcher Cox, you want to go after Dante Fowler, people want to talk about Bobby Wagner, you still want to try and get Stephon Gilmore, you want to go after Tyrann Mathieu, you want to go after big names. The Niners have shown right now, Ant, that they are not going to be restructuring or doing anything crazy, extending more contracts. It's Jimmy Garoppolo. That's your path.
Yeah, let's go through a couple things. Eric Day made a great point. Colts don't want Baker. They just moved on from Wentz because they want a leader. Baker has the same problem. Good point right there by Eric Day, and I think that's something taken. Nicholas Derringer come in and said, is this a big signing? He's talking about the signing of George Odom. It is on special teams. George Odom is an all-pro special teams player, so he's going to help the 49ers in that way fantastically. Let's see what he is ultimately asked to do in the safety room. But yeah, he's going to help the 49ers on special teams and will be a depth piece as of right now in the safety room.
Very much the case. He's definitely a depth piece in the safety room. He's definitely going to be a special team stud and an ace for the 49ers. So is it a big signing? It's a big signing for the Niners on the special teams area, and you're hoping that the guy can develop. He's still a young man, so we'll see. We'll see what happens there. I'm optimistic that it could pay dividends for San Francisco, but is it going to pay the dividends that I think people are expecting or hoping for, or the kind of dividends that they want? I don't know about that. I'm not sure.
So apparently the Browns are not giving up a player, as according to Albert Breer. They're trading 3 first-round picks and 2 additional picks to the Texans for Deshaun Watson.
Oh my Lord!
Wouldn't be surprised if it's not 3 1s and 2 3s. They're making some move. They had to make some moves there. Charles Omenihu cannot believe it. Hey, I can't lie. This is wild. He said. Charles Omenihu has tweeted like 5 times in the last 2 minutes. He someone with direct connections to the Texans. So that's interesting. So,
that's awesome.
I think it's obvious now the Texans are moving on with Davis Mills, but the ramifications of this move for the 49ers means here's your window to move Jimmy Garoppolo. Can the Jimmy Garoppolo news happen today now, Alex? Can we finally get that done?
I would love it. I would love to get it done. I really would. Jonathan Ramirez says, is Jimmy staying or are we getting a new quarterback? Anyone know? We're not getting a new quarterback. Jimmy's most likely going and Trey Lance is your quarterback. That's what's going to be happening. I saw Benjamin also bring it up. Colts fan here. He loves Odom. So I appreciate that, man.
Oh, there you go.
I really do appreciate that. Nick also just asked, why are the Niners signing only special teams players right now? It's because they don't have a lot of cap space. Until Jimmy's moved. Until Jimmy's moved. Once Jimmy's moved, then that's what's going to be happening, my guy. But the reality is that, you used a big portion of your capital on that type of stuff. You used a big portion of your capital on Charvarius Ward, and you freed up cap space to be able to hold on to Jimmy so you could deal him and then go after the players you want. And it looks like now the window is here. The opportunity has presented itself, and with Deshaun Watson going to Cleveland, the Niners have the opportunity to strike while the iron's hot. Let's see if they do it.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. You know what I mean? This is one of those big moves that needed to happen. Yeah, Robert is saying 5 years, $230 million is a big bag. You're not wrong. Ben V says, what does Watson to the Browns mean for Jimmy? It brings up some questions now where Jimmy can land. I don't think that Baker Mayfield, I think it was eloquently said in the chat earlier, that Baker Mayfield makes the most sense for the Colts because they're looking for a leader, and there's questions about his leadership skills. I can't expect that they would be super excited about the way he handled the possibility of Deshaun Watson coming there and kind of going to social media and that sort of thing. So I think that is one thing. There was Eric Dane that said that, by the way. Give him credit for that. So that may mean they're going to go a different route. I think Matt Ryan stays in Atlanta. New Orleans could possibly go with Jameis Winston. But once again, it appears that the 49ers are staring at the Indianapolis Colts. I think it is the Colts. It was always going to be the Colts. Seattle is possibly in on Matt Ryan and or Baker Mayfield. So they could make a move there. But you're right. The NFC is open like it's never been open before. All the quarterbacks, not all of them, but almost all of them, have moved to the AFC. This is a good situation for the 49ers, and let's see how they handle it. Let's see if they go all in now.
It's very true. Yeah, we got to find out if they can. WTM said, is it hard to get Matthew? It may be. Tyrann Mathieu, the honey badger, has always been about that money, making sure he gets paid, making sure he gets compensated accordingly. So you got to have the cap to do it. Now you may have the potentiality to free that cap up and go after a big name like that and really shore up the safety room and not just sign an Odom, but sign a Tyrann Mathieu. It's definitely now a possibility. Look, I think Jonathan just said, can we trust Trey Lance, though? I am having faith in him. We have no choice. You can trust Trey Lance. You saw the game against Arizona, a team that was undefeated at the time and red hot. Niners almost won that football game. Niners got in the red zone. They had opportunities.
David Campbell said it right. Everyone needs to hit that like button right now. If you don't, Jimmy's never going to get traded.
Oh, yeah. No, he's not wrong, Ant. He's not wrong. David Campbell has a sixth sense for these types of things. TCC.
And then we have a good question from Lou. He says, if we can't move Jimmy, what would be the cut date for him? I think it's down the line still. I think that they would push this to the draft if they had to. I know it's a scary proposition, but that's kind of I think they would do that. I don't think it's like training camp or any of that, but I think they would push this closer to the draft, which is crazy. What I'm hoping is that's going to happen in the next 48 to 72 hours. They're going to get Jimmy moved, and that way they can finish the team for their go finish what they wanted to do in free agency. But I mean, maybe this is why you started seeing signings over the last 24 hours, because they knew that something like this was going to happen and they were going to be able to move Jimmy Garoppolo. So maybe the tea leaves are reading towards Jimmy Garoppolo getting moved now.
100%. I mean, the tea leaves are definitely starting to point that way, guys. Definitely starting to point that way. All the Trey Lance haters need to relax, says Zach. Look, I don't think there's Trey Lance. There are Trey Lance haters. There are people, and welcome All Out 916 to the Cutback crew. Thank you for the subscription. There are people that don't like him. I think they don't like him, though, because of the way Jimmy Garoppolo has been treated, more so than Trey itself. I think there's a lot of people who feel that way in that boat. The reality is, though, with Trey is there are people who legitimately question, just readiness and preparedness. And, is he ready to handle this? The guy who hasn't played a lot of football in college, didn't necessarily play a lot of quarterback at a high level in high school either up until the last couple of years there. So, I mean, I get the concern, right? The concern is warranted. The reality, though, is that you have a head coach in Kyle Shanahan who's done nothing but help build this team in the right direction. John Lynch, same thing, who have bet on this kid and are in the boat that they're in now making this decision. They wouldn't be making this decision if they didn't feel he could be there or was not there already.
Yeah, we're starting to get a lot of people coming through with different observations. Google account, now that the final best quarterback available is gone, Niners have a lot more leverage to trade Jimmy. Also, smart move due to the low cap situation. They at least have addressed one issue, special teams. That's smart. If they're attacking special teams, maybe there's other players that are waiting for the 49ers to move on from Jimmy Garoppolo. I felt like they were waiting for the shoe to drop of Deshaun Watson so they would know which teams were going to have the financial ability, because a lot of teams cleared space to be able to go and pick up some players. So maybe the ball's going to get rolling on some of these high-priced free agents to get signed.
Very true, and very true indeed. WTM also said Jimmy G for Jonathan Taylor. Is that asking too much? It might be.
Yeah.
It probably is if we're betting.
Definitely is.
And I'm glad. I'm glad you're Tyler Manhan, by the way. I just hit like Jimmy can now move forward. That's
good. There's definitely no. I don't know if Jim O'Grillo is talking about. I think I don't know if he's talking to you or somebody in chat, but
I think he's talking about. And when I said I made the comment about how there are some people who don't like Trey because of the way Jimmy has been treated. I think he's talking about that. And you know what? You're right. It's kind of ignorant, but at the same time, right? The people who hate on Jimmy because he got paid what he was worth at the time, that's just it, right? It's two wrongs. Two wrongs don't make a right. There's no one that has necessarily handled this in the right way. The best thing you can do is support the guys you can support and trust that your team's going to do the right thing and do right by you. I don't know what Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch have done that have made 49ers fans, some of them believe like they don't have the best interest of the team at heart. Jed York's transformation and from, complete control and wanting to make every decision under the sun to stepping back and letting John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan kind of do their thing and the evolution of the team since they got here in 27. I don't know like what's changed, but I think people need to give people credit. Like they just need to give some people credit. People are going to do bad things. People are going to say dumb stuff in the heat of the moment, in the heat of battle, right? As fans, you get worked up, you invest in these guys. And when someone badmouths something you've invested in, sometimes you let the emotions get the best of you. That happens sometimes.
Yeah. BV50, we would love Marlon Mack for the 49ers, but he's a free agent, so they don't actually have to trade Jimmy G for him.
Nope.
Another little topic of why Deshaun Watson probably chose Cleveland. Every single dollar of the $230 million contract is guaranteed.
That is crazy.
The largest guaranteed contract in NFL history.
Dude, this is a big bet. This is a big bet on Cleveland. This is a huge bet. How many games is he going to get suspended? Is the league going to even suspend him?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, you would think that there was going to be something, but it appears Cleveland is not worried about that because they believe once the suspension's over, they've got their guy. So, I mean, they have definitely flipped the script on everything that's happening in that division. Does this, now the Steelers got Mitchell Trubisky. The Browns went and got this guy. You got Lamar Jackson, you got Deshaun Watson all in the same division. And what this does is clear now the space and opportunity for the 49ers to trade Jimmy Garoppolo. Could this finally be the time? I think people are looking forward to getting kind of just past the Jimmy Garoppolo, talk. It just happens so much, moving on and building a team around Trey Lance. But it's one of those things. This is interesting that I did not expect him to pick Cleveland. I was kind of expecting him to pick Atlanta. But now that he's decided to go Cleveland, everyone's going to be scrambling.
Everybody's scrambling. The Falcons are scrambling. Panthers are scrambling. Saints scrambling. Everybody is scrambling. This is a little crazy. It's a little nuts. Megan just asked, what does this mean for quarterbacks going forward? I think I don't know if it necessarily means anything for quarterbacks going forward. I think it means something for a few teams going forward. I think there's now some teams that are sitting there going, we're down to not crumbs, but we're down to very few potential options left to keep us competitive and give us a chance to make the playoffs.
Well, I think now what you have to do is take a look around. And at some point, if Trey Lance ascends to be Deshaun Watson, which you believe he will, you're going to have to give him a deal that's going to be worth more than this money. So in the next 4 years, it becomes more important than ever before to win a Super Bowl. Look at the landscape of the NFC. Look at the landscape of your division. You've got Trey Lance on a rookie pay scale. Go all in. It's now time to go all in. It's opened up even more in the NFC for the 49ers to be able to move forward.
Very true. I saw Eric Dane earlier said the way Jimmy's been treated, he's been paid 4 years and only played 2. Sir, it was like two and three quarters. It was like 2 and 3 quarters. And look, at the end of the day, too, with Jimmy Garoppolo and that whole situation, you can't forget either. It's not like this guy didn't play through injury. He played through a partially torn ligament down there in his ankle. He played through the shoulder stuff. He played through the thumb. It was the major stuff that kept him off the field, Ant. It was the ACL that kept him off the field. This guy has put a lot on the line and played through, bad injuries and things of that nature for this team. So it's not like this guy didn't do anything for this team or didn't put himself out there either for that money. He definitely has earned the contract that he's been paid. And people being like, oh, we're paying him $100 million, $25 million a year. He's not even getting paid in the top 10 in the league in quarterback salaries. So let's not act like, there are quarterbacks who aren't making more money. There is more than 10 that are making more money than Jimmy Garoppolo.
You had to pay him that money at the time. You couldn't let him go. You just spent a second round pick on him. They felt like he was the best option at the time. I have no problem with the original contract. It got you to 2 NFC championship games and a Super Bowl. I mean, but now it's like, okay, they paid him. They got what they could get out of him, and now they realize they need an elite quarterback. They thought he was, he's not.
Exactly.
And now they've got to move forward and get a team built around Trey Lance, where Trey Lance now has the opportunity in his first 4 years or possibly 4 years as a starting quarterback to win a Super Bowl. I think that's got to be a huge goal for them.
Agreed with you there. And Luke Luter just said, wow, Watson to Cleveland. I was going to say Watson must be slow to pick Atlanta when the Browns were clearly the best choice, says Luke. It's an interesting situation, but it's very obvious now why he chose them. The guaranteed money is absolutely fantastic for him. He's going to have a nice run game, and they're not going to have to give up any pieces too, which means you got a young secondary there in Cleveland that he feels can do enough. And it's a fresh start for Deshaun Watson. It's a fresh start for him. He gets to get out of Houston and what's going on there.
Well, you probably looked at Atlanta's wide receiver group too. I mean,
it's the Atlanta's wide receiver group,
Zacchaeus, I mean, I know they got the big tight end as well, but it was slim pickings there. So going to Cleveland, he's going to be with Amari. So I think this is a better situation for him. That's a big time connection that they can put together. Kevin Stefanski builds a team around, the run game. It's very similar to what, Kyle Shanahan likes to do. So play action passes and things like that. I think that's why he made the decision. Of course, there's 230 million other reasons he made the decision as well.
Great.
But now, Alex, it's nice. It's nice. We finally know where Deshaun Watson is going. This whole mess is finally opening up. So now the 49ers can move Jimmy Garoppolo, and then we can see what kind of other moves they're willing to make. What if they're willing to sign any of these high-priced free agents, or if we're going to get more George Odom type signings.
It's true. It's very true. Juanito just asked as well, and will you two be upset when Jimmy isn't moved? He's putting it out there into the ether, and it's not happening at all whatsoever. Look, Juanito, you've been around here a while, so you know how we feel about Jimmy Garoppolo. We like Jimmy Garoppolo. It would stun me if Jimmy doesn't get moved. I wouldn't be necessarily upset if Jimmy doesn't get moved, but I would be a little confused because all signs point to Jimmy Garoppolo being moved. I would start to question my level of understanding of the direction of this football team in terms of what they're trying to do and what they did with Trey Lance and giving up the picks to move up to get him. The thought process in my head was always Jimmy was the quarterback this year or last year, unless he win a Super Bowl, and then he has the chance to be the quarterback this year. You didn't do that. So all signs point to him not being here.
And Megan asks, will Brandon Cooks now go to Cleveland to follow Watson? No, he will not. Brandon Cooks could be heading north, but it will not be to Cleveland because I'm not sure Brandon Cooks' favorite person is Deshaun Watson after his comments about having you carry the wide receivers. So no, I don't see that happening. There has been some interest, in Brandon Cooks. It has picked up overnight, of course. So we'll see what happens there. But right now, no. I mean, I love Brandon Cooks to come to the Niners, but I don't think he's going to Cleveland yet. I haven't heard that. And if I do hear that, I would be more than happy to let everyone know. I have heard of a team, though, in the NFC that has inquired about Brandon Cooks. So if you follow me on Twitter, you can read the tea leaves there and see what's up with that.
Hey, do they rhyme with the Blas Francisco Biners?
No, it doesn't actually.
Oh my goodness, it's another.
It's up
team,
north.
Man.
It's up north. It's not San Francisco.
Oh, it's
another team. Yeah.
Man, they might as well follow you on Twitter at Coach Antho Ant.
There you
go. They should definitely be doing that. I saw Tyler asked earlier too. Tyler Manahan said Jimmy seems like Pete Carroll's kind of guy. Did I miss something there? Is there no interest? It's not that there's no interest. It's that the Niners are not going to trade their quarterback to a team in their own conference, in their own division.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. And I don't think that's ever a good idea. I think they want to move him to the AFC. Thank you, Twisted. Look at Twisted Clown getting right on it. You're right, Twisted Clown.
They need to stop it.
Yeah, they need to stop. But yeah, I think that they want to trade him to the AFC. That's usually what you want to do with one of your quarterbacks. You want to move him to the AFC, and I think it's smart for the 49ers to move him to the AFC. Once again, add another quarterback to that crazy AFC and make it even easier for you in the NFC. I think this is part of the reason Tom Brady looked at it in the 40 days and looked at the landscape of what was going on and was like, yeah, I'll come back in the NFC because that means I have an opportunity to go back to the Super Bowl. So I think that's what's going on.
It definitely feels that way, Ant. It definitely feels that way indeed. And wow, man, what a turn of events from just George Odom news and information and 49ers fans being maybe disappointed and a little upset that the Niners aren't making big moves to Deshaun Watson turning the entirety of free agency on its head and choosing the Cleveland Browns and opening the door now for the San Francisco 49ers to be able to deal Jimmy Garoppolo, hopefully, potentially, now that Deshaun Watson's off the board. Major impacts, major implications.
We may have another big player off the board.
Oh, my goodness.
It appears this is not – I can't confirm this, but this is a rumor right now. We'll just take it as a rumor at this point. Sources are saying free agent Tyrann Mathieu is expected to sign with the Panthers today.
Oh, so my.
There is a possibility of that. Right now, it's just a rumor. It's not official, so I just want everyone to know that. but that is something that looks like it's moving forward. Possibly missing out on Deshaun Watson means they have the money for Tyrann Mathieu.
So it appears this, right? This is what it's now looking like. A lot of these big name free agents weren't signing places and probably had deals and things in place in terms of places they wanted to go, depending on where Deshaun Watson lands. Deshaun Watson's landing was going to impact where these teams could potentially sign. And now that you have this happening, we may start seeing a host of bigger names, Ant, starting to go off the board at record paces.
Yeah.
Crazy. I did see Rich and a couple people saying Baker is going to the Colts or trying to go to the Colts. I know that was his preferred landing spot. But after what the Browns said, when Baker requested his trade, when it looked like they were on the outs and they just flat out came out and said no, I don't know how much leverage Baker Mayfield has in terms of where he goes. The Browns may not be in the business right now of putting Baker in the best spot, but getting what's best, the most they can back for Baker Mayfield.
Yeah. I think, just like what 49er Gal is saying, well, Cleveland said they wanted an adult in the quarterback room. Well, they obviously think that's Deshaun. That's interesting. Yeah. And that's the thing is the Colts also, I know Baker requested to go to the Colts, but the Colts also need that stabilizing force in that locker room to move on from Carson Wentz, and that being the reason you're apparently moving on from Carson Wentz. They need somebody that is going to stabilize that room, and that is Jimmy Garoppolo, because I don't know how everyone pays attention to Adrian Colbert, but he was talking yesterday about Jimmy Garoppolo's leadership abilities, and these guys would run through a wall for Jimmy Garoppolo. So if you're adding him, if you have a glue issue with your team, like you just need someone to bring everyone together and lead the football team. I mean, Deebo Samuel said it last year, right? Jimmy Garoppolo walks in that huddle and tells them, hey, we're going to go down and score, and they believe him. So leadership-wise, you would think the Indianapolis Colts would rather have that over what you're getting from Baker Mayfield. So Baker, I hope Baker takes to social media. I hope he does some crazy stuff. That way the Colts continue to stay in on Jimmy Garoppolo, and let's hope they can just work it out. Chris Ballard, John Lynch, get on the phone, get this thing done. We need to go ahead and get Jimmy, move to a good place in the Colts, but also so the 49ers can get that draft capital and possibly get some nice picks back.
True. It's the reality of the situation. You want to get something back. Ballard, I get it. I truly do. I understand trying to get the most.
Yeah, and I'll look up. I seen Judah said, who made the Honey Badger rumor? Let me look it up for you. I'll give you the name of the rumor 1 second. But go ahead, Alex, keep going and while I look for that.
That's true. Luke Luna just said, too, because it was his only landing spot. Of course, he says, I want to go to the Colts. Colts should go Jimmy. You think the Colts make a call to the front office and ask about Baker's character? I'd go Jimmy G. I don't think they have to make a call for Baker's character. I think we all know what Baker is. He's a passionate and emotional guy who lets these emotions sometimes get the best of him and run into his decision making. He's a very talented guy. Don't get me wrong, but he hasn't necessarily grown up with the scrutiny. This has been a guy who's constantly had a chip on his shoulder. Constantly trying to prove things wrong, and sometimes that works out as a benefit, and sometimes it manifests itself in other behaviors, right? Tom Brady is a guy who's always got a chip on his shoulder, but it's manifested as him being a leader and one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Baker Mayfield's got a chip on his shoulder. It hasn't manifested itself that way, and sometimes it manifests itself as what comes off as immaturity. So I think you have to be looking at this in all honesty, and every team that is still looking for a quarterback and needing a quarterback is weighing those things. Right? Weighing the passion from Baker Mayfield, weighing the emotions, how much, he wants to be great, how much he pushes himself, but also, looking at it and going, well, how does that come off and how does it play? Because with Baker, it doesn't necessarily come off in a positive way. It doesn't come off in a light ant that is necessarily beneficial for your football team. Sometimes it comes off selfish, and that can be a distraction.
Yeah, and it is a complete rumor, by the way. It's Todd Hampton. He's a local writer there in the Charlotte area. PMP, which is Panther Nation PC, they are the ones who retweeted it. So they're believing it's a source. That's why I said a rumor, though. It doesn't have a blue check mark. I wasn't giving it a lot of credence. That's why I was just saying this is a rumor that's going on. So that's who it is. It was Todd Hampton. He's a local writer from that area.
And I just saw, too, Nick, oh, man. I want to make sure I get that right. Nick Giltner just said it, Juju to the Chiefs, and Juju Smith-Schuster and just tweeted out Chiefs Kingdom. Let's go. So Juju Smith-Schuster is landing in Kansas City.
And guess what? Here comes the absolute flurry of moves. As people were waiting for the Deshaun Watson thing to come down, Now here it goes. Juju Smith-Schuster is signing with the Chiefs. So there's that. I mean, its sources are saying the Browns Texans are in agreement on a trade for Deshaun Watson. It's 3 first-round picks, a third-rounder, and a late-round pick swap, a fourth for a fifth. It's done. He's a member of the Browns, so it's official.
Wow, it is official. Get on the phone, John Lynch. Get on the phone and let's get this deal done. Let's make a deal. Jimmy Garoppolo trade season, free agency heating up for the 49ers, hopefully. Absolutely hopeful. I really want that.
The Panthers are going out and using that money. They've extended DJ Moore now to a 4-year deal. So now they don't need that money for Deshaun Watson. They're going out and making other moves, which is definitely going to also more possibly breaking news. There's rumors that Seattle's going to go ahead and move on from Kerry Hyder as well.
1 year, Ant. It took one season.
They're cutting Carlos Dunlap, and now apparently Kerry Hyder could be moved. As David Lombardi says, Kerry Hyder priced himself out of the 49ers market with excellent 2020. So is this a guy that you could possibly bring back to San Francisco and pair with Chris Kasarik again?
You could.
That's why I brought it up. Now you've got that possibility going on.
And Judah Santana, by the way, thank you for the subscription, my guy. Welcome to the TCC. We appreciate it.
Ooh.
Oh, my.
Juju got $10 million for 1 year.
Are you kidding me?
1 year, $10.75 million. The Chiefs gave him.
Are you joking?
Yeah.
Is it fully guaranteed? It can't be fully guaranteed.
It's considering it's 1 year. Yeah, it's fully guaranteed, Alex.
God, Ant. Oh my God. What in the world? Oh God, the free agency. We're not getting a big free agent name. Marquez Valdez-Scantling is off the board, folks. It's not happening. John Ross is coming to San Francisco. You can just book it now, Ant. You don't
think they'll be able to get one of those big time receivers now?
I don't know, man. Will Fuller's still possible. He's played less games than Juju. You don't have to pay him.
Will Fuller, though, is not fitting what the 49ers are currently doing.
It's also true.
By signing people. And thank you, Judah Santana, for the subscription.
I think the most likely scenario at this point is I think John Ross is the best speedy name that may be still out that the Niners probably going to try and go get. We know how much Kyle Shanahan loves him. And it fits the mold in terms of what they're looking for, right? Younger guy, fills a role, not necessarily like a barn burner or a big name.
You know what? This makes me bring something up, Alex. I mean, it appears that when Deshaun Watson told the Browns no, they didn't take it. They didn't really listen to his no and went ahead and offered him even a better deal. So sometimes I guess no means yes.
It's true. And no. Apparently, I don't know, Ant.
How much is? They went all in on giving him all that money. I mean, it's crazy.
I think that was it, right? I think the reality for Deshaun Watson was the teams were obviously not guaranteeing a full amount of the contract.
Yeah.
And the minute that Cleveland did that, it was a no-brainer for him.
Yeah. No, definitely. I think, goodness. I mean, that's a no-brainer anytime someone's going to give you that guarantee.
They're going to guarantee it. I mean, if the NFL comes back and decides to suspend him for a year, he's still getting paid. Oh, my Lord. Holy cow. Well, Twisted Clown said, this gives me more confidence that those 2 seconds from the Colts are coming to the Niners unless Matt Ryan decides to go to the Colts or they ended up deciding to deal him there. I don't know. I think for the Falcons, the fact that Matt Ryan didn't come out and say anything either, I think for the Falcons, it was Deshaun Watson or you're sticking with Matt Ryan. I think that's the reality. So I don't think they're going to be moving off of him. It's a lot of money to try and move. And I don't know if there's another team that can eat that contract.
It says this is according to Indianapolis Report, Atlanta will turn their attention to making Matt Ryan feel wanted while he considers his options.
Oh my gosh. So Matt Ryan, you're here to tell me, Ant, that Deshaun Watson has ruined as many franchises as he's ruined massage parlors potentially.
No.
Houston area.
Yeah, no money. Robert Hamblin is right. Money talks. I mean,
that's 100%
the thing when
does.
It came down to it. Yeah, I mean, you're getting that money. Whenever it's guaranteed, you're going to get that money. So
that is true. Holy crap, Ant. What a turn of events. A lot of dominoes and pieces falling after said events have happened. My goodness gracious. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see what's next. I can't wait to see if the Niners are going to actually be able to pull the trigger on a Jimmy Garoppolo trade and what that means afterwards. What that means the Niners go after. Does that change right? The trajectory of free agency and the moves that Niners have been making, or is it going to be more of the same afterwards? Like we get off of Jimmy and it's still more of the same. Who knows?
Dave Murphy loves the addition of George Odom. Says he was a huge pickup. Will start at strong safety. Will be a surprise pickup. I like that.
All right, Dave.
I
Dave
like
put it out
hearing
there
that
into the ether.
Yeah, Dave Murphy coming through with that. I like that a lot.
And Lou, it's just Twitter. It's just Twitter, my guy.
Yeah, we're on Twitter. Twitter it's just straight nonstop. Especially if you follow, Tom Pelissaro, if you follow Ian Rappaport, and of course Adam Schefter, you're gonna get the news in real time. And then Josina Anderson also will drop it sometimes. Diana Rossini, who's one of the first ones to drop Trent Williams last year. So yeah, it happens. In fact, last year when I was preparing for our video about Trent Williams, we were about to put it up and go live, and right before Diana Rossini confirmed it, and I was like, all right, boom, hit it. So that's what's going on right now.
100%. And a list of AFC quarterbacks under the age of 26. Are you ready for this list?
Yep.
Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, Mac Jones, Trevor Lawrence, Davis Mills, Patrick Mahomes, Tua Tagovailoa, Deshaun Watson, Zach Wilson.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. The AFC it's nuts. It's wide open. It's wide
the
open
NFC is
in the
so
NFC.
Open. It is so open, man.
I hope John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan see it this way. I hope they see how open this is and they go make a move. And what about Atlanta? If Atlanta moves on, from Matt Ryan, because maybe Matt Ryan doesn't want to be there, do they then become contenders for Jimmy Garoppolo as well?
You would imagine so.
Unless do they just decide just to completely blow it up and we're going to rebuild, we're going to get a quarterback in the draft? Could they possibly call the Green Bay Packers, about Love, something like that? I mean, maybe.
It's true. I mean, that's the other thing too that I don't think a lot of people are looking at. I don't know how big the market is for Jordan Love. I don't imagine it would be very big. I imagine a lot of teams would be wanting to give up like a third or a fourth round pick in order to get him. And I don't know if Green Bay is willing to move off that investment, seeing as they spent a first round pick and traded up in order to get into that spot to make that pick. So I'm not necessarily sure. I think the market is a lot tougher for a guy like Jordan Love, but it's definitely something to watch. It could play some fallout, but I think the reality of the situation is that Jimmy Garoppolo is now the most important quarterback on the market at the moment. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I've heard some people talk about Jameis Winston, and he led the league in touchdowns and all that, but he's coming off an ACL. So if you're talking about guys who are coming off injury, Winston's coming off a worse injury.
A couple receivers are letting everyone know how they feel about this. Michael Thomas tweeted, "Don't blame him." #whodat. And then AB, Antonio Brown.
Of course.
Cleveland, Antonio Browns.
He said that
2 minutes ago. Cleveland, Antonio Browns. So, I mean, wouldn't that just be a heck of a group? Antonio Brown.
Give me this. I want the circus in Cleveland, and give me Deshaun Watson. Give me Antonio Brown. You got Kareem Hunt already there with what had happened with him already. Just do it. NFL, just let this happen. Let AB land in Cleveland. My goodness gracious me. Oh.
Yeah. So, I mean, thanks, AB, for that. I appreciate that.
By the way, too, Ant, apparently, per Ari Mirov, the craziest part about all this, it really sounds like the Falcons blew another lead in the freaking offseason this time. Apparently, Deshaun Watson made it clear to Atlanta that if they just guaranteed the contract, he would choose there, and they didn't.
Wow.
Oh, my gosh. That's like Packers fans this morning finding out that Devontae Adams, if he had been offered the contract that the Green Bay Packers had offered up, if they had offered that up 7 months ago, he would have just signed the deal.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Oh my goodness gracious!
But he took less money to go play for the Raiders. So
yep.
Yeah, I mean, wow.
I do love that though. I do love that.
No, there's been lots of huge news so far. I mean, this is. I think we're off to a crazy day. I think this is going to be a nutso day, Alex. I do. I think we're
feeling that way. As people talked about Wednesday. Wednesday was supposed to be biblical. Today may be biblical.
Yeah, it could be today. I mean, now that Deshaun Watson has moved, it opens up everything for every team in the league. Everyone knows what's happening. Those teams that were involved, New Orleans, who had freed up over $29 million in cap space, the Panthers, who had the cap space, they all have money now to go spend. So now some of these high-priced free agents that were waiting for the money to be there, the money's there. And now it's clear to the 49ers what exactly they need to do with Jimmy Garoppolo. It appears it's always been the Colts. The Colts could, I guess, go for Matt Ryan. They could make that move. So I think that's something to keep in mind. I think the best situation for the Niners would be for Matt Ryan to go to Seattle if he's going to get moved, because I don't think that they're a championship team with Matt Ryan. He's a stationary target. But never mind. The best move is Baker Mayfield to go to Seattle. I'm sorry, I misspoke there. But I mean, I just figure that as far as Matt Ryan getting moved, we don't want to move to Indy because we want Jimmy Garoppolo to be able to get moved there.
Very true. And Ari just tweeted out as well. 4 other moves dropped. It was Juju, obviously. It was Austin Hooper to the Titans, Juju to the Chiefs, Johnny Hekker to the Panthers, and then Bradley Bozeman, the center guard, also signing with the Panthers. So it looks like the Panthers are definitely going all in now and spending on free agents and bringing guys in and shoring up the rest of the roster, since it doesn't look like it's going to be Deshaun. Well, not that it doesn't look like, isn't going to be Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
That is insane. It is absolutely crazy. Oh, my goodness gracious. We'll see. We're going to see what happens next. We're going to see if the Colts are going to make the move for Jimmy Garoppolo. We're going to see if the Niners can find a way to work this out. John Lynch, work it out. Work it out with Ballard. Work it out with Frank Wright. Let's get this thing done. Let's start making some free agency moves of our own, huh? Let's start breaking news and blowing up the internet, San Francisco. Let's do that.
Yeah, Richard Algo says Colts could, but then what if Matt Ryan retires after 1+ year? That's exactly the problem, right? Because, I mean, they went through this already. They've been having this issue with the quarterback position. Jimmy Garoppolo at 30 is a more enticing, player than Matt Ryan if you're looking for longevity, because he is younger. But Matt Ryan is still a guy that's been an MVP in this league. So there you go. Yeah,
free agency feels like Madden. You're not wrong, Ty.
It feels like Madden. Yeah, Ty's right. It does feel like Madden right now. It's crazy. They're building like super teams all over the NFL, and most of them are in the AFC. I mean, the AFC West is loaded. The AFC East is well improved, and now the AFC North's like, hey, hold my beer. I got to get involved in this one. So, yeah, this is going to be nuts. I like the 49ers position. Now I'm just waiting for the Niners, to possibly move Jimmy Garoppolo and see what they do in free agency.
It's very true. And Tone Diggs from the Pat McAfee Show just put out the tweet that everyone needs to keep in mind. Juju and Jackson Mahomes being at the same place, the same team in the Chiefs, maybe the end of civilization as we know it.
Wow. Yeah. TikTok.
I did not think about that at all.
Going to be there at Arrowhead for sure.
It's very true. It's very true. Lawrence Owens right now, who's a guy we've worked with at Colts Law on Twitter, who we've had on the show before when we didn't know your opponent before the Indianapolis Colts game. He is all in right now on the Colts going after Baker Mayfield. He wants Baker, not Jimmy Garoppolo.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to see.
Wow, yeah. Sir Juju just jumped in and said, hey, TCC, great pickup for us. So he's liking, Sir Juju is definitely liking the pickup of
George
Odom. Yeah. Sorry, all the stuff went crazy there for a minute. Travis Cooper says, I'm ready for the breaking news on Jimmy. Then sign us MVS.
Hey, I would not hate any part of that at all.
No,
whatsoever.
Me either.
But Juju getting a 1 year,
for sure.
Juju getting a 1 year, $10 million contract at little spooked now. Little bit of a spook there for me. Definitely spooked. We'll see.
Yeah, definitely. So I mean, I think we'll take a couple more questions before we hop off. Anyone have any questions? And then we're gonna hop off, and we'll be available in case something else big happens, including Jimmy Garoppolo getting moved.
If anything else happens, you'll be able to find us right here. We will go live. So the best way, if any other breaking news happens for the San Francisco 49ers, the best way to know about it, hit the subscribe button right now and then smash that notification bell. 20% of our Cutback Room members, just 20% of you, have those notifications turned on. So turn them on. You won't miss any breaking news if anything else happens. And then, a couple more questions. And we're going to wrap up now, Ant, so that way we can, recharge, because I imagine there's going to be news at all. Megan, I haven't. Rumors are he's going to Cleveland, says Sir Juju. Yes, he is 100% going to Cleveland. What free agents left do you want? What free agents left do you want most? He asked that to Megan, but we can also answer that as well, Ant. Megan, leave it in the comment section down below. But Ant, is there a free agent that's out there that you're really wanting the Niners to be able to go grab?
I would love to see them, make a move in the running back room with Raheem Mostert being gone. I think that a running back would be somebody that would be nice to bring. So I'm guessing, somebody like Marlon Mack, Philip Lindsay, or Cordero Patterson, but I think everyone's heard me say that already. Those would be the guys I would most be looking for. I wasn't expecting the safety George Odom to be the guy we sign next. So, I mean, I'm just going to keep, kind of my ear to the ground and listen. I would love for them to go ahead and call the Houston Texans now about, moving on from a star receiver that they have in Brandon Cooks.
Accurate.
But so far, I haven't heard the 49ers being involved in that. So right now, I would say running back makes a lot of sense to me. And then possibly, continuing to work on the secondary because we need a nickel corner.
Agreed with you there. I think for me right now, it's either got to be the wide receiver room or the running back room. I feel like that's where there's still a lot of plenty of good names out there that you can get a decent deal. So that's where I would like them to go. Jay Ellie asked next tight end target, and Dominic King, welcome to the Cutback Crew. Next tight end target asked Jay Ellie, Hooper now off the board. Who are you thinking? Who are you looking at? OJ Howard not available. Evan Ingram gone, I think, as well.
Yeah, let me give a shout out. What is up, Dell? How's it going? Good to see that you're on here. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. But who's the next tight end target you think the Niners could go after if they do go after one, in fact?
I mean, I thought it was Austin Hooper, but now that he's off the board, I don't know. I'm going to have to reevaluate who they're looking, at in the tight end department. They could just go the draft, but, there's a lot of tight ends still available that they could address, but it looks like they're going to go cheaper option. $6 million for Austin Hooper was definitely a little more expensive than someone you can add on the team. So, yeah, and Bomber T, yes, Watson is to the Browns. It is official. That deal is done. So now the 49ers can move forward with their offseason plans.
Very true. Jaylee, I'm not sure. I'm not sure who the next tight end target would be and who the Niners could be going after. A lot of names are off the board. A lot of guys that I actually wanted them to target. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see if there's actually anything in place and anyone that they actually are able to go get. But they're not going to want to break the bank on it. And who knows, Ant? Maybe it's just going to be the draft and Grant Calcaterra out of SMU. Who knows? It might be that. Eric Dane asked, do you think there are any free agents that we've already missed out on by not getting rid of Jimmy already? I'm not in this boat. You know how I feel, Ant. If the Niners really wanted to go get any of these guys, they would have done exactly what the Saints did. They would have restructured even more guys, extended even more guys, and found a way to get under the cap and go after the guys they wanted. They didn't do that because they weren't as invested in some of those names. And Dell Dallas, welcome to the Cutback Crew, man.
Yeah, well, thanks, Dell. Really appreciate it, man. I think that if they really wanted to make a move, they would have made it. I think that they would have went ahead and made a deal and brought someone in, and then they would have worked out the contract. They would have signed an extension, restructured somebody, and then brought the player in, because they could agree to terms with anyone until they sign on the dotted line and turn it into the NFL. It's not really a big deal. So they could have worked it out. They have Jimmy Ward, of course, they could have extended. They have other players they could restructure. So I think that they could have created the money if they wanted to. So I don't think they've missed out on anyone yet. I think it could happen at some point if they don't move on from Jimmy Garoppolo here in the next week or so. They could possibly move on or miss out on some players, because now that I think the shoe is dropped with the Houston Texans dealing Deshaun Watson, I believe now there's a lot of money freed up from some of these teams that were interested in him, and they're going to be able to go, and make a deal. And JT says Jimmy to the XFL. So that's breaking news from JT in the chat. Jimmy to the XFL confirmed.
We'll see. We'll see what's going to happen with Jimmy Garoppolo. I doubt it's going to be the XFL. And I know there's a lot of people who think cut Jimmy G, trade him for a sub sandwich. I've seen all the jokes. We're going to find out now. The market and now the availability to trade for Jimmy Garoppolo is officially now. The time is now. Deshaun Watson is off the boards. All these teams that were going to be going all in for Deshaun are no longer going to be doing so. And now the Niners have an opportunity to go make a play and make a decision on it. We're going to find out, but Cutback Crew, we're going to wrap this thing up for right now. Again, Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for subscribing, liking the video, sharing it as well with the rest of the faithful. Hopefully, Ant, we're breaking more news for the 49ers today, and hopefully Jimmy Garoppolo being traded, the Niners having cap space, and then a waterfall snowball effect of just signing after signing after signing for the 49ers.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and go on a limb and say the 49ers are going to go signing after signing after signing. My guess would be once Jimmy Garoppolo's moved, they will make a couple of deals. But
okay.
Yeah, I would love for a signing after signing after signing, but
hey, they got a 90-man roster to fill it in. You never know. We're going to see.
Well, Well, everyone, we will catch you if there's any more breaking news throughout the day. So pay attention to the 49ers Cutback, and we'll catch you on the next one. But for right now, Alex, let's chalk another one up.
Indeed, man, indeed.